Hello everyone! The Warcraft 30th anniversary was accompanied by a couple of things presented. Some lore bits, some gameplay bits, which we're going to be talking about today. With that in mind, do be warned, spoilers ahead.
Blizzard Entertainment presents Heartlands by Adam Christopher, part of World of Warcraft, The War Within. Narrated by Chris Metzen.
Up on the WoW YouTube channel, linked in the description, there you can find the Heartlands story. But there's also a PDF if you want to read it for yourself. It talks about what happens when Jaina and Thrall teleported away to get us those much needed reinforcements. They come up with a plan to grab reinforcements from the Arathi Highlands. You might recall how some bloody battles played out during Battle for Azeroth. We had the war fronts there, with victory eventually earned by the Alliance, and then the armistice was signed. Peace between the Alliance and the Hordes. Dana Trollbane has placed his niece, Merrin, as regent of Stromgarde, who's been reinforcing her position with the 7th Legion Auxiliary, whereas the Magar Orcs, with the Korkron, they've been granted a base at Hammerfall. Led by Kajara, leader of the Magar, daughter of alternate Durotan and Draka, so basically alternate Thrall. But as it turns out, our Thrall was never informed about her heritage. Not until this story where the truth comes out, and she isn't considered an alternate version of him, instead she is sort of his sister. So Thrall and Jaina go out to recruit aid for our forces, but old hatreds die hard, as time has shown over and over and over and over again. The Alliance and the Horde have difficulties letting go of the past and embracing this peace. This time it's from Stromgarde and Dana's niece where the hostilities come from. Jaina realizes that Merrin is not just an inexperienced ruler. She's also an idealist, a believer in a glorious past that Jaina also knew to be fantasy. Worshipping a misguided, even dangerous nostalgia to a golden age that she had never experienced herself. Believing that they should claim the glory of the past, the glory of the Arathi Empire. And Kajara, in turn, does not take these hostilities lightly, does not believe trying to make peace like a Thrall would have done is the way to go. Thrall advises her to find out where Stromgarde is hurting, to look beyond their leaders and seek another way. Which she eventually does, realizing that they have more in common than not, that most just wanted to live their lives peacefully, that a cycle of hatred and violence would never be broken with more hatred and violence. Whereas Merrin, she is the opposite, full on giving herself to the glory that she believes is owed to the Arathi. Thankfully, amongst their ranks, there are those wiser than that. They step away, so their leader is all alone. Well, not entirely alone. There's also a spy master, skilled enough to hit a Thrall and a Jaina, which is left as a loose end at the end of the story. But the allies are gathered, now focused on the real threat, Xal'atath, to which they set sail and support our cause.
Another Alliance lackey here to polish Tyrallian's armor.
In this tale, Thrall once again does not have his elemental powers, which you might recall being a part of the promotional trailers. He got them back during the Shadowlands, making earth bridges in the raid, so the idea that we came up with was that his connection was not as strong as it was before. That is where his frustration came from. But in this story, it does seem like he does not have his elemental powers at all, and I really wonder why. There's also the hook left at the end, the glory of the Arathi Empire and the hostility that could bring forth. They've ended the presentation with a cutscene of Farron and the Arathi. If and when we go and visit the Arathi Empire, I'd imagine that Merrin and her spy master, they'll rotate back into the story and that we might find a bit more of a faction war. A bit more of those old hatreds and hostility amongst the Arathi and their emperor. Our allies of Hollowfall have to make a choice as to where they want to stand.
That's the difference between you and me. You build, I protect. And mark my words, we will need that protection.
Moving on into Classic. Classic is getting classic, for you can never have enough of Classic. A fresh start on the realms, which sounds hilarious, but it is something that people have been asking for, so great for those that are interested. Season of Discovery is also developing further, going into some of the things that had me most excited when they announced it for the first time. Moments in the story that we never really saw in the original version. From Naxxramas, they're gonna move into Scarlet Crusade territory, whose history is one of corruption and infiltration by the Dreadlords, a story mainly told within the comics, and you could get a small cameo if you were lucky enough to get the Corrupted Ashbringer, but now it seems to be getting its own whole event. And then, Adventures at Deadwind Pass, the upside-down sinners of Karazhan, were shown in the preview trailer. Time is going to tell. Going into retail, current World of Warcraft, the Siren Isle is patch 1107. Already had its own presentation and is available for testing on the PTR. It's very similar to the Return to the Forbidden Reach patch. There's a small bit of story, there's a ring to empower, and some catch-up gear to collect. I've done a video on the Siren Isle already, but like I said there, I'll be playing this as much as I played Forbidden Reach, so I'll dip in, I'll check out the story, and I'll probably take a break until the next big patch. During the presentation, we see a small glimpse of Orwennia, the Horaneer, floating in front of Azeroth, and we have a data-mined conversation linked to this.
And who is this?
I am called Orwenna. I've been told you too have heard the voice of the goddess.
Goddess? You mean Azeroth? Aye, I was her speaker for many years, but she's let me go from that service.
Her voice has led me far from my home, seeking a truth I know she wishes to reveal. But my kin, they do not understand.
Aye, it can be lonely following a path that others can't see. But don't make the same mistake I did. Putting it all on yourself. Look for those who will walk the path with you. If I've learned anything, it's that we'll always need each other to not lose ourselves on the journey.
You are kind, Magni. I will consider your words carefully.
Best of luck to you, Orwenna. One day, when you found what you're looking for, I hope you too find your way home.
We already knew that Orwennia was hearing the voice of Azeroth, and apparently she's going to step out of the shadows, meditate underneath Beledar, and get a clearer vision. Hooks to bring us into where Orwennia and the Horaneer presumably come from, but it does bring the question, when is this going to happen? There's room for it on the roadmap, it's just a matter of when and how. Then, a big old drill clears the way into finally seeing the Goblin Trade Empire capital. We are going to Undermine. Again, I've done a video on the story of Gazlowe and the Undermine for full details, but in essence, think everything Goblin that you've ever seen. Making moolah, explosions, kasha-cola, dance parties. It all comes together in the slimy streets of Undermine, where the finest deals are made, and it's the money that talks. We do still follow Xal'atath's trail while we end up here, so while the story is gonna focus on the cartels and the goblins and their way of life towards the future, you'll see the humor and the explosions that we know and love. There's also gonna be the underlying threats of Xal'atath, the overarching story of the World Soul Saga. Anyone's guess how that's gonna be filled in? Perhaps there will be connections between Kashamites, the stuff that gave goblins such great intelligence, and Azerites, the stuff that Gallywig's minds to the destruction of their Isle of Kazan. This is the blood of Azeroth, a powerful resource to now getting information that Azeroth's spirits is also crystallized, and across the world, several pieces can be found. Pieces like Beledar, but also one on the Siren Isle, and I'm sure that more are going to come into play. For the Goblin story, we've got 4 cartels: Steamweedle, Blackwater, Bilgewater, and Venture Company. We'll ally ourselves to a group of our choice, earn renown, hang out with known characters like
Monty Gazlowe, Renzik the Shiv, Baron Revelgaz, Marin Noggenfogger, and more.
Gameplay-wise, we're gonna get a car that we can pimp out to our desires. We can make it accelerate faster, or drift more, or maximum speed. I wonder if this is going to be like a form of dragon racing, now back on the ground again. Then new delves added, with the older delves being updated. We've had Zekvir as our enemy in the first set of delves, and a new enemy is going to rise. Surprisingly, they also said that Bran is getting updates, whereas in the past, they announced that we were going to get a brand new adventurer to come with us, related to the story. Now, I don't mind Bran coming along and being toxic, but variety is the spice of life. A new dungeon as well. Operation Floodgate. The goblins want to break open the dam in the Ringing Deeps for some reason, and that would be quite a problem, so we're gonna stop them. This dungeon is gonna join the pool for the Mythic season, together with 4 of the War Within dungeons that still need to be added, and 3 more Legacy dungeons for a total of 8. One of those legacy dungeons is going to be the Motherlode, which, similar to whoever wanted Siege of Barella's back, I hope you really enjoy your Motherlodes. I'm not looking forward to the huge amounts of trash that the dungeon offers, but hey, it is thematically appropriate. Then for the raid, Liberation of Undermine, that has us go up against the return of Gallywix. That man simply won't stay down. Last time we saw him, he was burning papers in Orgrimmar and getting out before all hell was breaking loose. No Siege of Orgrimmar followed. Instead, Saurfang laid down his life to expose Sylvanas, to which she team-rocketed herself into the Shadowlands, with Gaslow taking over Gallywix. He also had a part in the Goblin Heritage Armor questline, where things didn't end too well for the former Horde leader. And then in the Shadowlands, randomly, Gallywix showed up in Tazavesh. This is like a broker trading hub where he just sat there, not doing a whole lot and no explanation given as to what he was doing there. So I wonder if this is going to come back into play. If I had to make a guess now, it will probably be different goblin groups with different outlooks as to what life as a goblin is all about. The short story of Gaslow and Nagenfogger, it had a similar theme. Wanted to make profits, but not at the expense of everything else. Whereas a Gallywix, he is all about making as much profit as possible. I mean, the man blew up Karazhan and was ready to throw goblin players into slavery. So, a bit of a different view on life than a Gaslow, but time is going to tell. Speaking of time, we have got a roadmap going all the way into 2025, which is only a month and a half away. Where does the time go? Siren Isle is going to be for the winter, followed with the return of Plunderstorm, and then we'll get Undermined. Spring has 11.1.5, Nightfall, where we're going to revisit Horrific Visions. These were part of Battle for Azeroth, where we joined Rephion into exploring these visions from N'Zoth, a corrupted Orgrimmar, a corrupted Stormwind. Are they simply going to bring these back? Perhaps that might be to let everybody know what happened in these visions, because we did see the fall of Illyria to darkness. Or is this in line of evergreen content? In my opinion, they don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel, just bring back older content with some fresh updates. That is perfectly fine as well. I really enjoyed going through these visions back in the day, and I loved the concept of showing what a corrupted piece of the world would look like. These what-if situations were awesome, so either way, I'm excited to see what they got cooking. 11.1.7, not a whole lot on the roadmap, but it is a 0.7 patch, so I'd imagine to be comparable to a Forbidden Reach or a Siren Isle. 11.2 for the hot, steamy summer, with brand new zone, events, dungeon, and raid challenges. The big comparable Undermine patch, and there are several stories that they've been building up that they could go into. We could go with the Harnir and the Roots, for example, but they also showed Farin and the Arathi Empire at the end of the presentation. That, in combo with the Metzen story, if I'm gonna put my money on anything, I'd say we go to the Arathi Empire, but both are very possible. Followed by the reveal of Midnight. Not the launch of Midnight, but the reveal, so more details on what's to come in the expansion. I'm personally hoping that we're going to lose the War Within. That all that we've been doing so far against Xal'atath, it might have prevented her front schemes, while in the back, the world will still be plunged into darkness, but that's a personal hope. After that is a year further than what we are right now, and I'm guessing that the icon at the end is in relation to the player housing. Because at the end, they did announce player housing, which is gonna make its way into World of Warcraft, and I've seen a whole range of reactions to this, from people being super excited to instantly shooting it down and calling it shit before they even know what it's about. Personally, I'm just happy to see that they're going to give it a try. Honestly, I did not expect them to even go near housing, not after what happened with the garrisons, but here we are. Something that apparently been in the work for 2.5 years, it's finally been announced, and fingers crossed, it's going to be awesome. I've always been of the mindset that the garrison on its own, it was not the worst thing in the world. To me, what made it the worst thing for the game was that Warlords of Draenor had very little else to offer. So when they started to call it part of the core gameplay, that is where it became a problem. So for me, as long as they keep player housing as a side thing, as a fun additional thing to the expansion, is a win in my book. But we're gonna see how this is going to turn out.
But initial reactions to the announcements. Housing for Midnight is sick, but listen, right? Listen, I need to see it in beta form first. I remember what they did with Warlords, where we got the garrison thing. I need to know how far they are with the housing. I need to know what's up. Can you see my hat? You can't see my head. I don't even have a light. Ha ha! I need to see how they are with the direction and the developments. I hope it's going to be cool. Player housing could be a sick system, but it's very much early to talk about, right?
Everybody is going to have their own visions and hopes for the player housing. At this moment, we know absolutely nothing. We know that it's coming, and I'll form an opinion once we actually see what it looks like. Right then, that is my rundown for the lore and things to set out for the 30th anniversary directs. If you want to see the full presentation for yourself, or you want to see my stream that we did, links all in the description. And with that, thank you very much for watching, everyone. By all means, let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Subscribe if you like my videos. And until next time, see ya!